Buenos días. Durante 24 meses hemos estado desarrollando.
Good morning. For 24 months, we have been conducting a project financed by the EU. This project was about the impact of the mobility package on transport sector workers. And the main purpose of this project was to support the implementation of the main rules concerning the posting of workers from the road transport sector. At the same time, we wanted to analyze the regulations of new directives concerning this professional group and the law that I have mentioned. This was a project that involved organizations from Croatia, Poland, Italy, Spain, Greece, and Norway. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what organization you represent as part of this project? So, my name is Iva Tolic, and I'm a worker at the Institute for International Development. We are a research institute that deals with interdisciplinary topics, and one of them are industrial relations. And this is why we are taking part in this project. Thank you very much, and I would like to welcome you very cordially. During this project, every partner conducted a research phase, and during this phase, they analyzed the transposition of directives concerning worker posting in road transport, and this was to analyze the situation in different countries. So can you tell us what results came out of this research phase in Croatia? Yes, so we have conducted this research among Croatian companies and their workers, and to check to what extent they know the rules. And it turned out that many workers don't know about the regulations, they don't know the content of the regulations, they're not even aware that the regulations exist. 86% of them don't know even their domestic regulations, whereas the majority of employers said that they know regulations concerning the transport sector, but when we asked them for specific information, it turned out that they did not have the knowledge that they thought they had. We're talking about the mobility package of the EU. So maybe a good idea would be to explain what this mobility package is all about and what its main goals are. So what was this mobility package to guarantee within the entire EU? Can you explain this? Of course. The mobility package came into effect in 2022, and it was to regulate road transport, and there are three main rules. So cabotage and cross trade, as well as working time, rest time, and other working conditions of posted workers. And the purpose is to ensure good working conditions and good trading conditions for the companies and ensuring fair competition. This is about creating a proper transport sector. From what you have said, I draw the conclusion that the mobility package has different purposes. Firstly, to improve the working conditions of employees of the transport sector in Europe, but at the same time, the mobility package is to support fair competition between transport companies, haulage companies in Europe. So, do you believe that these goals are being achieved in your country, and whether the regulations of the directives are being applied correctly? With regards to the regulation on the mobility package, it was implemented, it was transposed into the Croatian law. So in Croatia, we're working on ensuring that this mobility package is really implemented and followed in Croatia. One of the most important new items in this mobility package is the definition of a posted worker. This definition is different than the definition that appeared in previous regulations, which had been in effect since 2016. So what is this new definition about? So what is the new understanding of the posted worker in road transport? What items determine whether a given worker is a posted worker or not? The new definition of a posted worker says that an employee is posted if they are performing cabotage or cross-trade operations or driving across two member states, or cabotage, which is domestic transport in a different country, and this transport is being provided by a haulier from a different member state. So the worker is considered to be posted at the beginning of the transport and at the end of the transport. To continue this analysis of the new items in the mobility package that concern truck drivers who are posted within Europe. So the mobility package presents certain guarantees that have to be given to the employee in the host country. This is the duty of their employer. So what are those guarantees about, more specifically? An employer who posts workers has to ensure that they have the same working conditions as apply in the sending country and the host country. Also under collective agreements, we're talking about the working time, rest time, and remuneration. So this must include all elements guaranteed by law. You have to ensure health and safety, and you must ensure the right conditions of work for young people, for pregnant women. You have to provide the right accommodation for employees when the employer has to guarantee this accommodation. You must also cover the cost of transport, accommodation, and also the maintenance of the vehicle during along the route. And the new directive says that if those working conditions are better in the country of in the posting country than in the host country, then those better conditions must be guaranteed. So this directive is actually better for posted workers. We will continue talking about guarantees for posted workers because the new regulations also regulate the working time and the rest time and the use of tachographs when crossing borders. Can you explain what those new solutions are about. I'm mainly talking about the use of tachographs when crossing borders. Yes, so drivers must use the tachograph when they are crossing a member state border, and from the 1st of January 2005, there have been new regulations about the registration of services. Now, tachographs must also record activities concerning the loading and offloading, maintenance of the vehicle, and administrative activities at the customs office. Here we're talking about periods when the vehicle is on the ferry or on board the train. We're also talking about the 45-hour break during 9 hours and 45-minute break during 9 hours, and the weekly rest, so that every driver has this weekly rest and can go back home. The mobility package also changes the rules of declaring certain information concerning the posting. So this is about the duties of the employer to submit information and documentation when they are posting an employee so that everything is correct. So the mobility package says that the employee has to have a whole series of documents along their entire route, and those documents must be provided to this employee by the employer. Can you tell us what documents those are? Yes, so the driver during this entire transport operation must have a copy of the posting delegation. They must have the confirmation of conducting the transport operation. So this can be a consignment note, and they must always have with them the records of the tachograph, particularly with symbols of member states in which the employee was present during the transport or cabotage. We're nearing the end of our interview, but I wanted to touch upon two more topics. The first one is, again, about those guarantees that we have mentioned before, the guarantees that are included in the mobility package. And here, the mobility package says that after the worker returns from the posting, the employer has to prepare a whole series of documents that confirm that a posting has occurred. Can you list those documents? When the driver finishes the transport operation, the employer must use the IMI system to supply data from the tachograph, including symbols of countries in which the driver had been, then transport documents that confirm this transport, then documentation concerning the driver's remuneration, the employment contract, or an equivalent document, the schedule of the driver, and the proof that the compensation has been paid to the driver. Thank you. And to conclude, you have given us a lot of data about how this directive is applied in Croatia. You have mentioned the challenges and problems encountered during the implementation of this mobility package. So I would like to ask you a question. What proposed improvements, what recommendations would be most important to ensure the best possible implementation of this directive and the best compliance with other conditions so as to ensure the working conditions for drivers and the conditions of trade for the haulage transport companies. Let me go back to the research that we conducted at the beginning of this project. So apart from the fact that employees were mostly unaware of their rights and of the regulations, we have also noted that the motivation of employees mainly comes from the remuneration, but another item of that motivates them is the rest time. And we believe that in order to improve the satisfaction of both employees and employers, we should introduce training about the regulations to explain what the conditions are and to have better understanding between the employees and the employers. Thank you very much for all your answers, and I'm convinced that they will be very interesting and very important for every employee, employer, or a representative of a state authority who might listen to our podcast, and that this will dispel many doubts connected with the implementation of the mobility package. I also hope that this podcast will also be used to improve the awareness within the transport sector among employees and employers, but also within the entire society about the needs and problems in the transport sector, the road transport sector. Thank you very much.